Hi and welcome to BeatleDave's Beatles channel. Today's video is a Beatles UK reel-to-reel update, so please come and join me. So hello and a wonderfully warm welcome to BeatleDave's Beatles channel. Hope I find all you fantastic people doing really well out there, and thank you so much for joining me here on the channel today. Well, the subject for today's showing is an update video of some extremely rare UK reel-to-reel tapes that I was lucky enough to find recently. And not only are they the actual jewel case type ones, they're in absolutely fantastic condition. I've got incredibly lucky with this collection, so please stay around for that. So yes, that's going to be coming up soon, but of course now it's time for something completely different. It's Ask BeatleDave, yeah! So yes, welcome to Ask BeatleDave, where I'll be answering your questions that you have about anything Beatles related, about anything perhaps that I've shown or haven't shown as yet, or about anything Beatles that you want me to answer, and I'll endeavour to answer that question for you. So today's question is from Brandon Random. Hi Brandon, hope you're well my friend. And he asks, BeatleDave, who's your favourite Beatle and why? That's almost an impossible question really, because I mean I'm one of these guys that I love all the Beatles for different reasons. But I will tell you what I think about each individual Beatle. So okay, with John, you know, he was a great singer, very witty man, very funny. He's a great gritty songwriter and also a very peace-loving guy. Now Paul's a fantastic tunesmith, you know, he's Mr. Melody, great bass player, very melodic, fabulous all-round musician, and of course, fantastic singer to boot. Now George is a very spiritual guy who is, and is such an underrated guitarist. I mean, he had to create solos on the spot with the Beatles, and they were just mind-blowing. Wonderful songwriter and singer too, Mr. George Harrison. Finally, Mr. Ringo Starr, very funny man. He had such a fabulous drum style all on his own and is very unique, you know. I mean, I love his drumming on the White Album alone. So to me, you know, Ringo Starr is one of the best drummers ever. So Brandon, I hope that kind of answers your question for you. Now, if you want to contribute to Ask BeatleDave, please just send me a question in the comments and I'll include it in a future episode. It's that simple. So please me guys, by asking me a question and getting involved and ask me something in the comments, and you'll be in a future episode. It's as easy as that. Well, now it's time for I Call Your Name. So yes, it's on to them old shout outs, and it's a big BeatleDave hello to Michael Noland. Michael's got his own fabulous YouTube channel and you'll really enjoy it if you like the Beatles and Led Zeppelin. He's a fantastic host, and I'll add a link in my description to Michael's channel. Also Stefan Lang, Tom Deegan, Diego Empachor, Trevor Brown, Max Cawthry, Eddie Miles, Glenn Greenman and Stephen Tansley Sr. So that's a great big hi to you guys from yours truly, BeatleDave. So on to the main event then today, which is the Beatles UK reel-to-reel tapes update. So please come and join me. Between March 1963 and October 1970, a total of 33 Beatles reel-to-reel tape variations had been released by EMI on or around the same release date as the vinyl counterparts. Initially, and including Sgt. Pepper, all the 4-inch reels were presented in a 5-inch cardboard box with replica artwork and the prefix code TA, and later stereo tapes having the TD prefix. Being duplicated in real time on adapted EMI BTR2 recorders, it also meant that the reels were slightly more expensive to purchase. All twin-track mono tapes had white leaders on side 1 and red leaders for side 2. The stereo issues were yellow for side 1 and once again red for side 2. These leaders also included the group name album title, catalogue number and copyright information. By 1968, EMI had changed the packaging to a plastic hinged jewel case, which often broke quite easily. The White Album, Abbey Road and Let It Be were only ever issued with these jewel cases. The last few Beatles stereo reels that were released were issued in late 1970 around the time of the first UK cassette editions, and they didn't sell well at all. So let's take a look. Okay, so these are the bunch of reels that I've recently acquired, and they're all the stereo ones except the copy of Sgt. Pepper, which is mono and was actually released in 1968. But they are all the later dual case type, and these stereo ones were the last ones which were released in October 1970. And it was around that time actually that the first cassettes had come out in late 1970. So we're going to be looking at Please Please Me first, released obviously in October 1970, catalogue number TD PCS 3042. So here's the stereo reel-to-reel tape, as you can see. And I've actually brought down the mono edition as well, so you can see just slightly the differences in the sleeves on these two. As you can see, you've got more of a border around the stereo one as opposed to the mono one. The mono one looks like a slightly bigger image anyway. And of course also you've got the stereo quite small, which is actually like the late 60s LPs, as the stereo was a lot smaller, the indicator there. And let's take a look at this one in more detail then. So of course we've got that border all around the outside there. It's not a bad image, it's pretty good, it's quite sharp. Probably not as good as the other one, but the other one's a little bit darker. And then on the reverse, you've got all the tracks as it would be the same on the 8-track version as well as the cassette versions. They're not actually in the same order as the album, as you can see. We're starting off with Misery on side 1 and ending that side with Baby It's You. And then on side 2, we've got Please Please Me, but it does end, of course, with Twist and Shout. And as you can see there, bottom right, under the Hayes Middlesex England, we've got 7010, which is actually October 1970, and the Garrett and Lofthouse details there too. And then we've got the spine of the box. So you've got the catalogue number, Please Please Me, The Beatles. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the spool. Just put that down there. So all the stereo tapes have got the yellow leaders on these ones and the red on the side too. So you've got the unauthorised details there of the performances. Recording first published 1963, and The Beatles, Please Please Me Part 1, which is side 1, and the speed of 3 3/4 inches per second, the catalogue number and parlophone with the Made in Great Britain details there, and then it goes round again. So on to the fabulous With the Beatles album then. So this was released in October 1970, catalogue number TD PCS 3045. So I'm going to take a look at this one first, and it's worth noting I'm just going to show the mono reel as well again on this one. Slightly different image. You've got a bit of a darker image on the mono one, whereas the stereo one looks a bit lighter. And also you've got the small stereo indicator there on this stereo reel as opposed to the large mono there. Just put that down there and we'll have a closer look. So you've got more of a border around these stereo ones. And we'll take a look at the back. Of course, once again, you've got all the tracks in a different order, with All My Loving on side 1. With actually a misspelling, You've Really Gotta Hold On Me on that one there. So that's misspelt. And then on side 2, you've got It Won't Be Long, with Money finishing as it normally would the album. And then once again, we've got that 7010 with the G and L bottom right there. And then we've got our spine. TD PCS 3045 with the Beatles. So let's take a look at the reel then. As I said before, all the stereo ones have got this yellow leader tape for part 1 and red for part 2. So you've got the unauthorised details there. Recording first published 1963. You've got the Beatles part 1 with the Beatles part 1. And you've got the speed, the catalogue number, parlophone with the Made in Great Britain and a little parlophone logo there. And we've come round again. So on to A Hard Day's Night then, released in October 1970, catalogue number TD PCS 3058. And this one, the image, it doesn't look as good as actually as the mono one. The image is a little bit poorer, I think, on this particular one. You've got a small stereo again there, indicator. But definitely that image is nowhere near as good as the mono one. And then we've got the track listing on the back there with I Should Have Known Better, starting side A and finishing with I'll Cry Instead. But we've got side 2, which is A Hard Day's Night, finishing with You Can't Do That. And then once again we've got the date in the bottom right corner of 7010 G and L. And obviously you've got all the catalogue number and EMI recording and all the Hayes Middlesex details there. I can't stress to you enough how rare these particular reels are, these stereo ones. These are absolutely ultra rare to find. And I've been looking for at least 20 years for these, 20 years plus. So to get these all of a sudden was just mind-blowing for me. So then we've got the spine, TD PCS 3058, and you've got Hard Day's Night, the Beatles. So let's take a look at the spool then. And once again we've got one of those little protectors on there. Just pop that off. And then we've got the same details. This, once again, this is absolutely fantastic condition, this particular reel. Really fantastic. This one's P1964 on there. Hard Day's Night Part 1. Side 1. The speed. Catalogue number. Parlophone. Made in Great Britain. And we're going to come round again. So on to Beatles for Sale then. Catalogue number TD PCS 3062. Released in October 1970. So here we are. Once again, you've got the image with the border all around the outside. Slightly larger stereo though. It's not too bad. The image isn't too bad. It's not too sharp. Slightly blurry. Not too brilliant. But then we've got the track listing on the back there. Starting off as you would with No Reply. But this time we've got Honey Don't finishing off that particular side. Bit of a strange order, this one. And side 2 you've got I'm a Loser. Finishing off with Every Little Thing. A little bit different. Got the catalogue number there top right, and then of course we got that date bottom right there with 7010 G and L. And then there's our spine, TD PCS 3062, Beatles for Sale, the Beatles. And let's just have a look at this reel. So let's undo that. There we go. And then we've got one of those little holders there again. Can't get him off. Going to be, oh, there he is. Yeah, we pulled him off. Brilliant. And this one looks like it hasn't even been played. It's so fantastic, and the condition of these is unbelievable. So we've got P64 there, 1964, with the Beatles, Beatles for Sale Part 1, Side 1, Speed, TD PCS 3062 with the Parlophone, Made in Great Britain and the logo. And we've come round once again. So moving on to the Help stereo reel-to-reel then. Catalogue number TD PCS 3071. Once again released in October 1970. And as far as the image goes itself, this is probably the worst one of the lot actually. It really doesn't look right at all. It just doesn't look right. It's just totally strange. When you compare it with the mono one, it just doesn't look right at all. It's not even white. Got some sort of greyness to it actually there. Looks like it's been photographed from an album and then just plonked on these reel-to-reels. So okay, let's take a look at the back. And once again, all the songs are completely all over the place. You've got I Need You kicking off side 1, with Act Naturally finishing off that side. Help has remained the first track of side 2, but you've got Dizzy Miss Lizzie, which is obviously finishing off the album there. And at the top we've got the catalogue number and EMI recording. You've got printed and made in Great Britain on these as well, all of these reels, with all the Hayes Middlesex England details. And then bottom right you've got the date with the G and L details there. And then we've got our spine, TD PCS 3071, Help, the Beatles. So let's take a look at the reel then. And we start off with, well, it looks to me like some of the leaders slightly missing there, the first bit. But it starts with the speed, and then you've got the catalogue number, Parlophone, Made in Great Britain. And then we come up to the unauthorised broadcasting section with the P1965, and the Beatles, Part 1, Help Part 1, and the Speed. Back onto the catalogue number and parlophone. So on to the next reel then, which is of course Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. This one's mono and the catalogue number is TA PMC 7027, and this would have came out approximately 1968 in the jewel case. So this image on here is a really great image. It's slightly bigger image than the album shot you would have got actually, just a slightly wider image. It's got a slight crack in this unfortunately, but you've got the twin track mono tape record at the bottom there. And then on the back we've got all the tracks in the correct order. We've got the catalogue number with the twin track mono tape record at the top. And you've got your Hayes Middlesex details and made and printed in Great Britain there. So there's our spine, the full spine, Beatles Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band with the catalogue number there. So let's take a look at the reel. And being it's a mono, you've got the white leader, starting off with the copyright details, 1967. The Beatles, Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, Part 1, Track 1, the Speed, the catalogue number with parlophone, and made in Great Britain, and we're back to the start. So the final tape then I've got to show, which is part of this batch which I got, is Abbey Road, catalogue number TD PCS 7088, and this is in great shape. This one is really quite a rare edition, this particular one. Obviously the mono being a lot rarer, but the stereo one is still in quite demand. That's a really sharp, great looking image there. And then we've got all the track list in there with the 4-track stereo tape record at the top and the catalogue number to the right. Got an EMI recording, Abbey Road, the Beatles, produced by George Martin. And then all the tracks luckily are in the same order as the album. And then you've got EMI records there, as well as the made and printed in Great Britain and the Hayes Middlesex, England. There's no Her Majesty listed either on this particular version, as I don't think it ever was. And then we've got our spine, TD PCS 7088, Abbey Road, the Beatles. So let's take a look at the reel then. Once again, you've got a yellow leader tape. You've got the unauthorised broadcasting details with the Beatles, Abbey Road Part 1, the Speed, the catalogue number, parlophone, and then made in Great Britain, and we're back to the beginning there. So thank you all for joining me today on BeatleDave's Beatles channel. Hope you've enjoyed seeing the updated reel-to-reels that I have. And of course, any comments I get from you guys, I will always come back to you just as soon as I can. So next week's video, we are back with the Apple Records album series, episode 3, and the Mary Hopkin album, Postcard. So don't miss it next week, same Beatles time, same Beatles channel. So anyway, as always, if you enjoy what I'm doing, why not give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future videos. This is BeatleDave signing off.